When humans started thinking together, Dr. Sarah Mitchell had seen thousands of brain scans during her 15 years as a neurologist. But the patterns dancing across her monitors that Tuesday morning made her question everything she knew about human consciousness. The rhythmic waves emanating from her test subject's brain weren't just unusual, they were impossible. "Jake, can you hear me?" she asked through the intercom, watching as the young construction worker lay still in the MRI chamber. Jake Rodriguez had volunteered for the study on stress responses, never expecting to become the first documented case of something that would change humanity forever. "Yeah, Doc. Everything's fine in here," Jake replied, his voice calm despite the chaotic neural activity displayed on Sarah's screens. What troubled her most wasn't the intensity of the brainwaves, but their pattern. They seemed to be reaching outward, as if searching for something. 3 floors below, Dr. Chen Wei was conducting his own research on group dynamics when his equipment began registering readings that defied explanation. His test subjects, 12 volunteers participating in a teamwork exercise, showed synchronized brain activity that shouldn't have been possible. Their individual neural patterns were slowly aligning, creating a harmony that existed nowhere in scientific literature. "Dr. Mitchell to Dr. Wei, please report to Lab 7 immediately." Sarah's voice crackled through the facility's intercom system. Something was happening, something that required both their expertise to understand. When Chen arrived at Sarah's lab, he found her staring at multiple brain scan displays, each showing similar impossible patterns. "Look at this," she said, pointing to Jake's readings. "His neural activity spiked exactly 37 minutes ago. What time did your group exercise begin?" Chen checked his notes, his face growing pale. 37 minutes ago. "Sarah, I think our subjects are somehow connected. The breakthrough came during what should have been a routine crisis simulation. General Marcus Harrison had requested the research facility to test human response times during emergency scenarios, never imagining he would witness the birth of humanity's greatest evolution." Jake was still in the MRI chamber when alarms began, blaring throughout the building. A simulated chemical leak had triggered emergency protocols and staff members scrambled to evacuate. That's when Jake did something that changed everything. Without any training or knowledge of the building's layout, Jake began directing evacuation procedures through the intercom system. He guided trapped researchers through corridors he had never seen, identified structural weak points he couldn't possibly know about, and coordinated rescue efforts with the precision of someone who had access to multiple perspectives simultaneously. "How? Does he know about the blocked stairwell on the 5th floor?" General Harrison demanded, watching the evacuation unfold with military precision. "He's been in that chamber for 2 hours." Sarah's monitors told the incredible story. Jake's brainwaves had synchronized with every person in the building. Somehow, under extreme stress, he was accessing their collective knowledge and experience. The construction worker was thinking with the minds of engineers, doctors, security personnel, and janitors all at once. Dr. Wei's group showed the same phenomenon. The 12 volunteers were no longer individuals facing a crisis. They had become a single consciousness with 12 bodies, sharing thoughts and coordinating actions with supernatural efficiency. "General," Sarah said, her voice trembling with the implications, "I think we've discovered something that will change human history." 3 light-years away aboard the Catherian Empire's Deep Space Monitoring Station, senior observer Zax Thrall noticed an unusual psychic signature emanating from the 3rd planet of an unremarkable yellow star. The Catherians had ruled their sector of the galaxy for 3 millennia, their telepathic abilities making them natural conquerors and administrators. They had encountered thousands of species, cataloging their mental capabilities with scientific precision. "What do you make of this, Zax Thrall?" asked Commander Vale Thera, her crystalline eyes studying the energy readings. The Catherians resembled tall, graceful beings with translucent skin that revealed complex neural networks pulsing with bioluminescent patterns. "It appears to be a newly awakened telepathic species," Zax Thrall replied, his confusion evident in the flickering of his neural pathways. "But the patterns are unusual. Most species develop individual telepathic abilities first, then learn to network. This species seems to be developing collective consciousness without prior telepathic evolution. Commander Vale Thara made a decision that would soon prove catastrophic for her empire. Prepare a diplomatic vessel. We should welcome this new telepathic species to the galactic community. Perhaps they can be useful allies or subjects. Back on Earth, word of the discovery spread through classified channels at the speed of government bureaucracy. General Harrison convened emergency meetings with world leaders, scientists, and military strategists. The initial tests had revealed something unprecedented. Under stress, humans could temporarily merge their consciousness, sharing knowledge, skills, and even emotions. Dr. Sarah Mitchell found herself briefing the President of the United States via secure video link. Sir, we're calling it stress-induced collective consciousness. When humans face extreme danger or pressure, their brains can synchronize with others nearby, creating a temporary hive mind effect. How temporary? The President asked, surrounded by advisors taking frantic notes. That's what we're trying to determine, Sarah replied. The longest recorded instance lasted 43 minutes during a simulated disaster scenario. But sir, the implications are staggering. During synchronization, individuals gain access to the combined knowledge and skills of the entire group. Dr. Chen Wei added his findings. We've tested it with various group sizes. Small groups of 5 to 10 people achieve near-perfect synchronization. Larger groups show more limited connection, but even 50 people can share basic emotions and simple thoughts during crisis situations. The President leaned forward. Doctor, could this ability be weaponized? Before Sarah could answer, General Harrison stepped into the conversation. Sir, we've already begun preliminary military applications. A synchronized squad of soldiers shares tactical awareness, combat experience, and decision-making processes. It's like having a single super soldier with multiple bodies. What none of them realized was that their classified video conference was being monitored by the approaching Catherian diplomatic vessel. The aliens had intercepted Earth's primitive communication satellites, expecting to eavesdrop on simple minds discussing basic survival needs. Instead, they discovered humans discussing their newfound ability with strategic precision. This is troubling, Commander Valthera admitted to her crew. These humans speak of weaponizing their collective consciousness. They may be more dangerous than we initially assessed. Senior observer Zax Thrall studied the intercepted communications with growing concern. Commander, their development pattern is unprecedented. Most telepathic species require centuries to achieve what these humans have accomplished in weeks. They're evolving their abilities at an exponential rate. The Catherian diplomatic mission was hastily converted to a reconnaissance operation. If humans could develop collective consciousness this rapidly, they posed a potential threat to Catherian dominance. The Empire had maintained control of their galactic sector by ensuring no other species could match their telepathic capabilities. On Earth, testing continued around the clock. Jake Rodriguez had become the primary test subject, demonstrating an unusual aptitude for triggering the collective consciousness effect. During one memorable experiment, he synchronized with a group of mathematicians and solved complex equations that should have taken months to complete. It's like having access to a supercomputer made of human minds, Jake explained to the research team. When I'm connected, I can feel everyone's knowledge flowing through me. I understand things I never learned, remember experiences I never had. Dr. Wei documented the phenomenon with scientific rigor. The effect seems to be strongest during genuine crisis situations. Simulated danger produces limited results, but real threats create powerful synchronization. It's as if human survival instinct has evolved a new mechanism. The breakthrough in understanding came from an unexpected source. Emma Santos, a 12-year-old girl visiting the research facility with her mother, accidentally triggered the largest synchronization event on record. When a power outage trapped her in an elevator, her terror somehow connected her to every person in the building. For 17 minutes, 200 people shared Emma's consciousness. Researchers, security guards, maintenance workers, and visitors all experienced the world through a frightened child's perspective. But more importantly, Emma experienced the world through 200 adult minds, temporarily gaining access to decades of combined knowledge and wisdom. She solved a physics problem that graduate students struggle with, Dr. Sarah Mitchell reported to General Harrison. A 12-year-old girl, using the collective knowledge of everyone in the building, derived a solution to quantum field equations. In her head, the general realized they were dealing with something far beyond military applications. "Doctor, what happens if this ability spreads? What if millions of humans can synchronize simultaneously?" Sarah's answer would prove prophetic. "Sir, I believe we're witnessing the next stage of human evolution, and I don't think we can control it." As if summoned by her words, alarms began, sounding across the facility. Long-range sensors had detected an approaching alien vessel, its trajectory aimed directly at Earth. The Catherian diplomatic mission had become humanity's first contact with an extraterrestrial civilization. "Commander, Valethera's ship entered Earth's solar system with peaceful intentions that masked deeper concerns. The Catherians had decided to evaluate humanity's telepathic potential before determining whether they posed a threat to galactic stability." "Prepare standard first contact protocols," the commander ordered. "We'll assess their telepathic development and determine appropriate actions." What she didn't anticipate was that humanity's collective consciousness would perceive the alien approach as an existential threat, triggering the largest synchronization event in human history. When 8 billion minds became one, the moment, Catherian energy signatures registered on Earth's deep space monitoring systems, something unprecedented occurred across the planet. In research facilities, military bases, and civilian centers, humans began experiencing spontaneous synchronization events. The approaching alien vessel had triggered humanity's newly evolved survival mechanism on a global scale. Dr. Sarah Mitchell watched in amazement as her instruments detected synchronized brainwave patterns spanning continents. "General Harrison, you need to see this. The collective consciousness isn't limited to small groups anymore. I'm reading synchronized activity from New York to Tokyo." General Harrison studied the global readings with growing understanding. They know we're threatened. Somehow every human on Earth is sensing the approaching alien ship. The phenomenon began subtly. People reported feeling unusually connected to strangers, experiencing emotions that weren't their own, and possessing knowledge they had never learned. A farmer in Kansas found himself understanding advanced physics. A physicist in Geneva suddenly knew intricate details about agricultural techniques. Across the globe, human consciousness was beginning to merge. Commander Valethera's diplomatic vessel entered Earth's atmosphere expecting to encounter a primitive species beginning to develop telepathic abilities. Instead, her psychic sensors were overwhelmed by an unprecedented mental signature that defied every known pattern of consciousness evolution. "Senior observer, what are you detecting?" she asked, her neural pathways flickering with confusion. Zach's thrall examined his readings with growing alarm. "Commander, I'm detecting approximately 8 billion individual minds that are somehow functioning as a single consciousness. This is theoretically impossible." The first diplomatic exchange occurred when the Catherian vessel landed in a carefully chosen field outside Geneva, Switzerland. Commander Valethera emerged with full diplomatic protocols, expecting to encounter local leaders who would need complex translation procedures and cultural bridge building. Instead, she was greeted by Emma Santos, the 12-year-old girl who had become humanity's focal point during the global synchronization event. Emma spoke with the combined wisdom of 8 billion humans, her young voice carrying the weight of humanity's collective knowledge. "Welcome to Earth, Commander Valethera of the Catherian Empire," Emma said in perfect Catherian dialect, a language no human had ever heard before. "We know why you're here." The commander's crystalline eyes widened in shock. This primitive species wasn't supposed to possess telepathic abilities advanced enough to read Catherian thoughts, yet this child was accessing her mind with casual ease. "How are you speaking our language?" Valethera demanded, her diplomatic composure cracking. Emma smiled with the patience of 8 billion minds unified in purpose. "We learned it from your thoughts when you entered our system. Just as we learned about your empire's history, your military capabilities, and your intentions regarding Earth." Across the globe, humans continued to share knowledge and experiences at an exponential rate. A surgeon in Mumbai found herself understanding quantum mechanics. A quantum physicist in California suddenly possessed surgical skills. The collective human consciousness was creating specialists in every field simultaneously, with each individual having access to humanity's complete knowledge base. Dr. Chen Wei documented the phenomenon from his laboratory, his own consciousness, partially merged with the global network. The synchronization is unlike anything we've observed before, he reported to research stations worldwide. Individual personalities remain intact, but we're sharing skills, memories, and problem-solving capabilities across the entire species. Commander Valthera attempted to maintain diplomatic protocols, but Emma's next words shattered her composure entirely. Your empire maintains control through telepathic superiority, Emma said, her young face serious beyond her years. You've conquered 17 species by overwhelming their primitive minds with your collective consciousness, but you've never encountered a species that could match your abilities without evolving telepathy first. The Catherian commander realized her mission had failed before it began. Humanity wasn't a primitive species developing basic telepathic abilities. They were a collective consciousness that had evolved beyond Catherian understanding. This is impossible, Valthera insisted. Collective consciousness requires millennia of telepathic evolution. Your species shows no signs of traditional telepathic development. Emma's response carried the combined wisdom of philosophers, scientists, and thinkers from across human history. We evolved something better than telepathy, Commander. We evolved empathy. Our ability to understand each other, to share emotions and experiences, created the foundation for true collective consciousness. The global synchronization intensified as humanity perceived the growing threat. General Harrison's military analysts reported unprecedented coordination among Earth's defense forces. Soldiers in different countries were sharing tactical knowledge, instantaneously. Pilots were accessing the combined experience of every aviator on Earth. Naval officers were drawing upon centuries of maritime expertise from their synchronized colleagues. Sir, reported Colonel Martinez from NORAD, our defensive capabilities have increased exponentially. Every military unit is operating with the combined knowledge and experience of our entire armed forces. But the transformation extended far beyond military applications. In laboratories worldwide, scientists were solving problems that had puzzled humanity for decades. The synchronized consciousness allowed researchers to combine their expertise in ways previously impossible. Dr. Sarah Mitchell found herself understanding advanced alien technology by accessing the combined knowledge of engineers, physicists, and xenobiologists across the globe. We're not just sharing knowledge, she reported. We're creating new knowledge by combining different perspectives and expertise. Commander Valthera made a critical error by attempting to use traditional Catherian intimidation tactics. She projected her empire's military might directly into Emma's mind, showing the child images of conquered worlds and defeated species. Instead of creating fear, the projection was shared with 8 billion synchronized minds simultaneously. Humanity didn't just see the Catherian Empire's power, they understood it, analyzed it, and began developing countermeasures in real time. Thank you for the tactical briefing, Emma said calmly. We now understand your empire's military strategies, weapon systems, and weaknesses. Across Earth, synchronized human consciousness was processing Catherian military data with the combined analytical power of every strategic mind on the planet. Military planners, game theorists, and tactical experts were working together to develop defensive strategies. The Catherian Empire's greatest advantage had become their greatest liability. By revealing their capabilities to humanity's collective consciousness, they had given 8 billion minds access to their military secrets. Impossible, Commander Valthera repeated, but her certainty was cracking. Your species lacks the technology to threaten the Empire. Emma's response demonstrated why underestimating humanity had been a fatal mistake. We don't need advanced technology, Commander. We have something your Empire has never encountered: perfect cooperation. The demonstration that followed would be remembered as the moment humanity announced itself to the galaxy. Synchronized human consciousness began coordinating actions across the planet with precision that amazed even the participants. Every radio, telescope on Earth turned toward the Catherian home system simultaneously. Every particle accelerator began generating specific energy signatures. Every satellite adjusted its position to create a planet-wide communication array. 8 billion humans working in perfect harmony accomplished in hours what should have taken years of planning and coordination. The message they sent to the Catherian Empire was simple but profound. We are humanity. We are one mind with 8 billion bodies. We do not seek conflict, but we will not accept subjugation. Commander Valthara received urgent communications from her empire's home world. The energy signature generated by synchronized humanity had been detected across multiple star systems. For the first time in Catherian history, they faced a species whose collective consciousness matched their own. Commander, came the transmission from Emperor Kelthane himself. Withdraw immediately. We are detecting psychic energies that rival our most advanced collective minds. This species poses an unprecedented threat to imperial stability. But Emma wasn't finished demonstrating humanity's capabilities. The synchronized consciousness began sharing technical knowledge at an exponential rate. Engineers accessed the combined experience of every craftsman in human history. Physicists drew upon centuries of accumulated research. Programmers merged their coding expertise with the analytical skills of mathematicians and logicians. The result was a technological leap that compressed centuries of advancement into a single day. Humans began constructing devices that combined intuitive understanding with precise scientific knowledge. They didn't just build technology, they created tools that reflected the collective wisdom of their species. Your empire rules through fear and superiority, Emma told the increasingly desperate Catherian commander. But we've learned something your species never understood. True strength comes from unity, not dominance. The final demonstration came when humanity's synchronized consciousness revealed the ultimate difference between Catherian collective telepathy and human collective empathy. While the Catherians shared thoughts and knowledge, humans shared emotions, experiences, and dreams. 8 billion humans briefly experienced life through each other's perspectives. The wealthy understood poverty. The privileged experienced discrimination. The powerful felt helplessness. In a single moment of perfect empathy, humanity achieved a level of mutual understanding that transformed their species forever. Commander Valthara felt this empathic wave wash over her telepathic consciousness, and for the first time in her life, she understood what it meant to truly connect with another being. The experience was overwhelming and transformative. We withdraw, she announced, her crystalline form shimmering with new understanding. The Catherian Empire formally recognizes humanity's sovereignty. You have achieved something we thought impossible, perfect unity without losing individual identity. As the Catherian vessel departed Earth's atmosphere, humanity's synchronized consciousness began to evolve further. The global connection didn't fade when the threat disappeared. Instead, it transformed into something sustainable and beautiful. Emma, Santo stood in the Swiss field where first contact had occurred, no longer carrying the weight of 8 billion minds, but still connected to the global network of human consciousness. The frightened 12-year-old had become humanity's first ambassador to a wider galaxy that was still learning what it meant to be truly united. We're different now, she said to Dr. Sarah Mitchell, who had arrived to witness the historic moment. We're still individuals, but we're also something more. We're humanity. Dr. Mitchell nodded, feeling the subtle connection that now linked every human on Earth. What happens now, Emma? The young girl smiled with wisdom beyond her years, a wisdom shared by 8 billion minds working in harmony. Now we show the galaxy what's possible when a species learns to think together. We're not conquerors like the Catherians. We're teachers. As news of the first contact spread across Earth, humanity began to understand the magnitude of their transformation. They had evolved beyond their individual limitations without losing their individual selves. They had achieved unity without uniformity, strength without oppression. The synchronicity wars had lasted only a single day, but they had changed both humanity and the galaxy forever. Earth became a beacon of hope for species seeking alternatives to conquest and domination. The human model of collective consciousness through empathy began spreading to other worlds, creating the foundation for a new kind of galactic civilization. And, At the center of it all, 8 billion minds continued to think together, dream together, and build a future that reflected the best of human nature, amplified by perfect cooperation. The universe had panicked when humanity awakened its hidden power, but in the end, that power proved to be exactly what the galaxy needed: the ability to become more than the sum of their parts while remaining true to who they were as individuals. Humanity had finally found its place among the stars, not as conquerors or subjects, but as teachers of the most valuable lesson in the universe. True strength comes from perfect unity built on perfect understanding.